Most people conform and follow the crowd. Some want to be different. Some think that they're different. But only a few have the courage to be different. Welcome to Microcap Explosions, where returns can be explosive. The only question left is whether you have the courage to be different.
Okay, welcome to Classic Value Investors and Microcap Explosions. My name is Mariusz Konieczny, and we're talking about gold today. So the news from last week, the big news in the gold community is that Warren Buffett bought Barrick Gold. And obviously everybody knows Warren Buffett, but if you don't know about Warren Buffett, he's a hater of gold. Okay, he hates gold. He's been talking about gold for such a long time, and to see him finally buckle and buy a gold miner, I mean, that says something. Now, I'm not going to talk about gold the way everybody else is talking about gold. It's going to the moon, it's going to 5,000, it's going to 10,000, fiat money is going worthless and all that sort of things that you're just hearing and reading about, okay? Now, and I'm not saying that gold is not going up. I'm not saying that at all. I've been a student of gold for more than 10 years. So I know the value of gold and I know the value of gold miners. The problem that I have is that this period right now, it reminds me so much of 2011, where every stupid hedge fund was talking and pumping gold like there was no tomorrow, okay? At that point, everybody was writing about gold miners, about junior gold miners, about how gold was going to 3,000, and then what happened next? They abandoned the trade, it went to 1,000, and now here we are again. Everybody's talking about it's going, oh, the charts look great, it's going to 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. I mean, they can, just like Tesla, they can make up whatever number they want, and gold is going to that. So then you're listening to this stuff, and you want to buy gold miners because they're leveraged to gold, right? And so I'm going to tell you some stories about gold miners. And the thing is that don't think that I am not going to play. I do have a position in a junior gold miner right now because I'm going to benefit from it. But what I know is going to happen is that I don't know how high gold is going to go before the generalists or the Johnny-come-latelys abandon the trade, because the gold bucks that have been talking about gold, they are absolutely right about gold. They are absolutely right about paper money. I'm not disagreeing with this at all. The paper money has been being depreciated for years, and it's going to continue being depreciated. The problem is that gold bucks always have the same view on gold, is that gold is going to go up over time, and it will. The problem is the generalists, the Johnny-come-latelys, the tourists, they are the problem, because there are a period of times where those people who have no idea about gold start to agree with the gold bucks, and they are the ones that are driving the gold to these high levels, and they are the ones that are flaky. They are the ones that when something changes, they don't have enough conviction to stick with the trade, and they're going to abandon the trade at some point. And I don't know when it's going to be, whether when gold reaches 2,500, 3,000 or 4,000, I don't know. But when they abandon the trade, the gold mining stocks are going to get crushed. But in the meantime, there's money to be made. Now, the way I'm playing the gold bull market is I want to be the one selling the happy people a project, because what happens during good times in the gold mining community? What do these CEOs do? Well, when the price of gold is good, everybody knows, then they go out and acquire projects. They raise money to drill, they expand, they spend money on projects, they increase production, and all sorts of things like this. Now, when the gold market is bad, that's when they should have been buying gold properties. But no, they're not buying them then. They're not drilling then, because why would you? Why would you want to acquire projects on the cheap when you can pay for them later a lot more money, right? It's just obvious. So when gold prices are great, they just see beautiful future, and that's when they don't mind overpaying overpaying for projects. They don't mind spending a lot of money on drilling. They don't mind it at all. So I want to be the one that owning a project, I want to be the one selling it to these idiots. I want to be the one selling it to these happy people at overpriced prices. So I'm looking at projects, at gold projects that are big, that maybe they were out of money when price of gold, or they weren't economic when the price of gold was low, but now they look very interesting when the price of gold is right. And I'm looking at projects that I think that other people will be interested in. So I'm looking at projects that have a lot of gold, that are located in relatively safe jurisdictions, and that can do something to the production profile of a major or a mid-tier producer. And here's what I mean. These companies look for things that they can make them increase production, and they can show their investors in investor presentations how the production profile is going to be going up, and they're looking for projects. Let's say a mid-tier producer might look for projects that when they put into production, they will add 100 or 200,000 ounce production per year. That's something that's interesting to them. They're not going to look at the tiny little things or exploration project. They're looking for something that can move the needle. So I want to be the one that owns junior miners that own those kinds of projects, and that already are advanced, and they have or either very close to the feasibility study, very close to getting a permit, or maybe something that already has a nice net present value, something that the people that will acquire these projects can go and get approved by the board of directors. Hey, look at this project. It has such a net present value. If we buy it for this amount, this is going to be this beautiful IRR, and it's going to get approved. That's the kind of things that I'm looking for, and that's how I'm going to be playing this market. I want to be the one selling it to the happy people instead of buying with the happy people. Now that I'm on the topic of the gold companies, I want to give you a story. I will give you 4 stories, because people are so interested now in junior gold miners, and they have no idea what kind of really idiots they're dealing with when it comes to the CEOs. I'll give you some examples of what these idiots can do, because one thing about junior mining companies and their CEOs, I will tell you from my experience, that if there is a way to fuck things up, they will figure out how to fuck things up. I mean, no question about it. They are experts in fucking things up, okay, and not delivering to shareholders. One time I was involved with a company that had this project, and they had 3 different projects, right? And one of them was producing, and 2 of them were not producing. And at some point, investors just got tired of waiting for the promises to come, so they sold off the stock, and the market cap was I think it was $20 million. Okay, so they sold one of the projects, okay, for $30 million. So think about this. They had 3 projects, they sold one for $30 million, more than the market cap, right? Now, at that point, I was very excited. Oh, look, the stock is going to go up. It's going to be perfect. You know what? It took 2 fucking weeks, 2 weeks for that CEO to spend this entire $30 million on 2 worthless projects that later were written down to 0. 2 fucking weeks, okay? That's genius, okay? That only happens in junior mining stocks. Okay, next one. This one was a very profitable gold producer. I mean, it was one of the lowest cost productions in the world, and it was cash flowing beautifully. The market cap was the price was it was trading at 1 times cash flow, okay, 1 times cash flow. And they had $90 million in the bank. And of course, this was not even priced in. That CEO took that $90 million and bought another project. Okay, spent the entire $90 million, bought another project for $90 million. at a peak, by the way, because that's what you do. You buy it at peak, and then that was like 10 years ago. That project is still not in production. Okay, so they blew all the money on acquiring that project, and then the gold from the current producing over time obviously got depleted, right? So the cash flow dried up, and then they wanted to expand the production from that gold project, but now they didn't have any money, right? So now they're looking to borrow, they're looking to raise debt or issue shares to put that thing into production, but they fucking wasted $90 million buying a useless project that's not even in production yet, and that it's been 10 years. So that's another example of how these geniuses can figure out how to fuck things up. Third example, it's not a gold mining company, it's actually a driller. Okay, so when there were good times and they wanted to expand, they didn't want to sell shares, right, to expand. Instead, they took on debt. And at some point, that company had a market cap of 600 million or 300 million, something like that. But they didn't want to dilute their shareholders at that price for $20 million. So instead, they borrowed $20 million, right? It's not a big deal. 300 million market cap, they borrow 90 million, no problem, right? That freaking $20 million, when the gold market went into a bear market, and of course nobody was drilling, that $20 million killed them because the market cap got absolutely crushed and they defaulted on the $20 million. It wasn't too long ago. And now the stock is worthless, zero. It went to zero. And I mean, literally weeks before gold took off. So that just shows you, again, another example of paramount stupidity. Fourth example, it was a company that borrowed like $200 million, okay? $200 million during the good times from a European bank to, again, expand production, with the promise of being profitable and increasing production. Then the gold price started to decline. They kept looking for new money, and at some point, new money dried up. So, that company could have been worth like $2 billion, okay? And that $200 million, they couldn't renegotiate it with the European bank. And the European bank, they wanted the European bank to get a little bit of a haircut, okay? And then the European bank wouldn't budge to get any haircut. So it went into bankruptcy court. The European bank got zero, absolutely nothing. So if they negotiated, they would have gotten something. They got absolutely nothing. A big shareholder, Eric Sprott, bought that fucking company for $10 million, okay? And now, I guarantee you, I bet Eric is gonna repackage that company and sell it to the happy people for $1 billion, okay? Because of the previous management's stupidity to take on so much debt instead of issuing equity, taking it to the bankruptcy court, letting a big shareholder buy it for 10 million, and I guarantee you that company is going to show up as a public company very soon, and Eric Sprott is going to sell it to some happy people very soon. So yeah, these are examples of how, think of these CEOs that run these junior mining companies as an irresponsible uncle, okay, that we all have in our families. That's who they are. If there's a way to fuck things up, they're going to fuck it up. So just be careful when it comes to those junior miners, and be careful of the positive and unending positive talk about gold right now and gold miners. Be careful what you get yourself into. Now, like I said, the way I'm playing this thing is I want to own a junior miner that owns gold projects that are going to be acquired by majors or the mid-tier producers that want to do the same that they always do during a bull market. Expand, and acquire. And I want to be the one selling it to them. I want to be the one selling it to the happy people. So that's my rant about gold. and gold miners. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.